Hi there, everyone. My name's Josh Richardson, and I'm going to be your instructor for this course. This is obviously a hybrid class, so this is going to be how most of the lectures are going to be presented. The lectures will be split up into kind of a lecture format like this, where I'm just kind of talking over material, and then a problem solving format where I actually break the chapters down into given selected problems and work them out for you guys to kind of see, stop, work along with. So right now I'm looking at Canvas. I have it in the student viewer mode. This should be something similar to what you guys look at. It's not identical, but it's the best we can do. If you're unfamiliar with how to get to Canvas as your first semester at Valley, you can just Google, or I'm in Microsoft Edge. You can do SBCCD Canvas login. First thing that will come up will be this quick login. You can select Canvas. You can select a variety of other apps that the campus employs and get whatever you need. So we'll go back to Canvas. And so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to look at the syllabus. And so you guys will be able to access the syllabus directly from Canvas right here. I don't prefer this version of the syllabus. It's a little more clunky, and it's not as easily formatted. However, you can go here just for a quick view to make sure you have the most updated syllabus. You can also find a PDF copy that we're going to look at more thoroughly in the file section, and we'll look through some other stuff in a little bit. So here's the syllabus for the course. This is a tentative schedule, so there's always a chance that it changes. You know, last year we had the line fire, we had to shift everything accordingly. The big thing I want you to notice is highlighted in yellow is going to be all of the holidays. If there's a holiday for one lab, there'll be a holiday for the entire class since you guys are broken up into two sections. Section 70, which meets in person on Fridays from 9 to 12 and PS 318, and Saturdays 71 section that meets the same time, same building. My office hours will be 12 to 1 p.m. inside the STEM Mesa Center or by appointment through email or physical contact, which I'll usually ask you to follow up with an email. So email's your best bet. The other thing I want you to realize is the red highlighted exam dates and final date. Since we are a Friday, Saturday meeting class, we are going to have our final on the last meeting date of the class. So that will be in person. The other exams will likely be online proctored, but I have to kind of talk with the department, see what people have done in the past for this. This is my first online teaching class. I've taught in person plenty of times, but this will be the first time I do things online. So if anything ever looks funky, feel free to ask me about it. I'm happy to correct things. But beyond the tentative schedule, exam one is in week 3. It'll be either, if we do them in person, they'll be during the lab section before we do the experiment, but likely you'll have 1 week from your lab period. If it's Friday, 1 week from Friday. If you're in the Saturday period, 1 week from Saturday, to complete an online proctored exam. Kind of gives you some flexibility, the nature of these hybrid courses. So we'll talk more about that in lab and as we get closer to the exam dates in the lectures. But here's general class information, what we plan to go over during the class, the student learning outcomes. If you can achieve these student learning outcomes to a significant level, you've essentially guaranteed that you're going to pass the class. Now you have to show up to class, do the assignments, turn stuff in. But if you have understanding of these things, go through the steps to complete all the assignments, you're going to be in a good position to pass this class with, at the very least a C, but more than likely a B, if you have mastered these 4 topics. And it's okay if you haven't seen these topics before, if you've never taken chemistry in high school before, or if this isn't a refresher course, it's totally fine. We're going to break it down very simple and work our way up. So these first 2-3 weeks are going to be really slow, and then towards the end, they're going to really pick up. So I typically say a non-graphing calculator or non-programmable calculator This is just because if you ever have to take an ACS exam, you're not going to be allowed to use a programmable or graphing calculator. Now, for our purposes, a graphing or programmable calculator is not going to help you, so I will allow you to use them on the test, but just be aware that that is not always going to be the case, and if you ever have to take a standardized exam, you will have to have a non-graphing calculator and be comfortable with it. The lab manual will be provided for you. The PPE you're going to be required to get yourself. You can get it through the student store, or more than likely Amazon has it for cheaper, and it'll get to you before you'll actually need the equipment. We won't need any PPE for this first week. We're just going to kind of come in, touch base, actually get to meet each other physically, and go over anything that I missed in these initial welcome videos. So besides that, we'll kind of move on. Here's class expectations. Come to class, be prepared, be aware of what we're going to be doing, especially for the lab section. If this is a review class, I guess a lot of this is more predicated towards in-person classes, but you do need to come to the labs. If you're going to miss the lab, you need to reach out to me. If you miss 2 unexcused lab periods, I'll drop you. There are plenty of people who want to, add the class. So if you can't come to the labs, you're not going to learn the physical skills you need to be proficient in chemistry, and so you will be dropped from the class. If you reach out to me and give me, hey, I had this interview or XYZ important, I'm willing to work with you guys. I know you guys have lives outside of school. That's totally fine. I'm not here to be, hard line about anything like that. Just communicate with me and we'll figure it out. But don't just no-show, AWOL. That's, 2 or more of those, you will be dropped from the class. Academic integrity. I've never had to report people for it. I don't want to. I absolutely will if you give me a reason to. Be honest with me, I'll be honest with you. You can feel free to read through all of this. Bunch of advice on what to do, but essentially we can summarize this as ask me questions whenever, however. I don't care if you interrupt me. I will either respond or I won't. If I don't respond, it means I'll get back to you. If I don't get back to you for a significant amount of time, it means I forgot and I'm sorry, and ask me again. Chemistry requires practice, and how you practice is up to you. I practice chemistry by working in a chemistry lab. I never did homework when I was in chemistry, but I worked 30 to 40 hours in a chemistry lab, every day of the week, sometimes on the weekends even. So that's how I got my practice. You need to do some type of practice. For most people, especially if you're not working in a laboratory setting, you're going to have to practice with homework problems. Be prepared for class. This is kind of more of a in-person thing, but be prepared for the quizzes. Be prepared for the exams. The nice thing about a hybrid course is you can watch the lecture multiple times. You can watch the lecture in 5-10 minute, the entire portion. However is most amendable to you, that's what you can do. So that's the one nice thing. However, it's all up to you. There will be some automated announcements that come to you if you aren't logging into Canvas, once a week, or if your grade drops below like a D or something, you'll get an automated notice to kind of keep you on task. But other than that, you're a lot more responsible for your success in these hybrid courses because there's not that, regular physical interaction where I can say, hey, I notice things are going on. Maybe we can meet, work together. Still happy to do that with this being a hybrid class. There's just less opportunities to acknowledge those type of things. So be aware of that. The other thing is the mathematics. We've taken the prereqs out for, college algebra or whatever it was called at the time. And so that allows people to get into chemistry a lot easier. But at the same time, maybe you haven't seen the mathematics that you'll need to succeed in this course in a while, or maybe ever. And so we have some algebra reviews that are available. If you need anything more than what's already accessible on the Canvas website, feel free to reach out to me. I'm happy to either give you resources that I've, acquired over the years, or find something specifically for your needs. I'm here to help you guys. You just got to communicate with me, and I'll do my best on my end. So we're going to kind of scroll through. Here's some support services, very important if you need them. Here's the big thing I want to get at. I did not update the dates. These are from last semester. I'll update the important dates on the syllabus, so there'll be an updated syllabus probably by the end of today, before you guys come to lab for sure. But the big thing I want to point out is the grading. How I grade is my class is out of 110%. So you can view that however you want to. You can view that as you don't have to do any homework because homework's only worth 10%, but then you got to do everything else. Or you can look at it as there's a lot of extra credit opportunities in this class. Chemistry is a hard course, and so I'm going to be a hard grader. It's just the nature of it. I'm going to give you every chance to succeed. Quizzes are going to be the hardest thing in this class. Exams, I'm going to give you about 1/3 of the exam. I'm going to tell you about ahead of time, 1/3 of the points. So every exam will have 2 challenge questions. Each of those challenge questions is worth about 5 points, and sometimes there's even extra credit on the challenge questions. I will fully work those challenge questions in the problem-solving lecture videos. And if you can repeat those problems with different numbers, I might ask you about something with sodium and ask you to do it with potassium. You'll have to be able to change the numbers around, change the chemicals around, but do the exact same problem on the exam. And that'll be 1/3 of every exam. However, they're going to be a little bit tougher problems that are, multiple step free response answers. The laboratory experiments and exercises, those are there for you to learn how to do chemistry in a practical manner. If you're doing everything that you're supposed to and completing the labs and turning them in on time, you essentially will get 100% for the laboratory experiments and exercises. It's the quizzes, the exams, and the final that are really there to test you. The homework is essentially if you put in the effort to complete it and you're not just throwing down nothing or putting in an empty page for your homework assignment, you're going to be getting full credit. So with that said, the exams will be tough, but you'll be given all the material to succeed. Standard grading, I don't typically curve. I don't need to. But what I will do is if your final exam score is higher than your lowest traditional exam, non-final exam, I'll replace your lowest non-final exam with your final exam score. So say on exam 1, you weren't up to speed yet, you got a 20%. But you really worked well throughout the rest of the course and you got a 90% on the final and all the other exams. I'll take the 90% that you got on the final, drop your 20% on exam 1, and give you a 90% for your final and exam 1. The purpose of this is for you to learn from your mistakes. That's all. It also ends up being a pretty nice curve at the end of the course for most students. It tends to help the students that struggle and the students that are already doing well, that are already well into the A bracket. It helps you a little bit, but not much. I'm not going to read through the rest of this. Be prepared for the quizzes. Regrades. If you want me to regrade your material, I'm more than happy to do that. I make mistakes. Everyone makes mistakes. I'll be happy to correct my mistakes. However, you have to do all your work in pen if you want me to regrade your work, unless you have me regrade it on the spot when I hand it to you. The reason for that is many students in the past have very obviously cheated and erased their pencil and tried to write over it. It's pretty obvious when people do this, and rather than call people on it and argue back and forth about it, just do your work in pen. Makes it easier for everyone. You can't question anything. All right, so that's the syllabus. Feel free to download that. I will put the updated one with the correct drop dates. That's available on Valley's website as well. But now we're going to look through kind of Canvas and the course, how you're going to navigate things. Again, I don't like this syllabus, the best place to find the syllabus is if you go to the files. Here's where you're going to find everything. So you would find the syllabus right here. Boom. You can use this toolbar to kind of navigate a little bit faster. All of the lecture videos, like this video that you're watching now, is going to be in lecture videos. All of the problem solving videos will be in problem solving videos. Lab assignments and lab assignments. Extra resources are practice problems. These practice problems can be completed and turned in for extra credit on the final. So I'll show you exactly where. Well, I guess we'll go to it now. Book homework. For book homework, here are the suggested problems for your homework. There's an online homework system that you're more than welcome to use, or you can do back of the book problems if you did not subscribe to the online system, or if you just prefer to do things in the book rather than on Pearson's special printouts. These are the suggested problems. They're about, 30 problems on average, but, the later chapters, I only have 15 problems. Chapter 2, I have 40, but they're really quick, easy problems. These are just suggested problems. If those problems don't make sense to you, do another, but try to hit this total number of problems for each chapter. The chapters that have more problems are either the ones that the problems are really short, or there's a whole bunch of different topics that you should cover in those type of chapters. So, unfortunately, there we go, my recording icon, it was in front of the X button. So we're going to go to assignments. So assignments is where you're going to turn everything in that's an online submission. Now, I accept things via email submission or, in person when we're in the labs. But since this is a hybrid course, mostly you're going to be doing things by virtual submission. Now, it'll default to show by date. Show by type is going to be much more convenient. This official final grade, this is your grade after curve. This is what you should be concerned with. This won't fully, be populated until after you take your final. So your overall grade will shift a little bit. It might not be 100% accurate, but when the time comes, this will be your grade. You'll be able to communicate as necessary. Lab assignments. Here are all the lab assignments. We'll work through a variety of these. E0 lab is going to be due a week from your next lab. So not this lab coming up on Friday and Saturday, but 2 weeks from that lab. So things are starting slow. They'll pick up eventually. We have a few lab assignments. I think I need to add 1 or 2 are missing, it looks like. Homework assignments. Here's where you'll upload your homework assignments. You can either do the online Pearson, which I'll show you how to access, or you can do the book homework with the suggested problems that I just showed. If you want to do the online programs, you can come here. And, I guess it does not have that. Okay, so I need to add that. Typically, I'll put the online worksheet here so you can download them. I'll show you through Pearson how you're able to access that, but that's something that I'll need to update here. In addition to assignments, you can check your other scores here, but in general, you'll want to check your grades in the grades section, just a little bit quicker to find, and then you have all your averages here. Okay, so we've gone through mostly everything on Canvas. There might be some things that change depending on how the exams are going to be proctored, but I'll let you know about that in future updates. For the textbook, you're going to want to go to Home. So this should be where you're first sent to. There's also the announcement page, but there's no real announcements for us to look at this point in time. Home is where you should be directed automatically. This is where you're going to access the book. If you have any issues, go to course support. However, this is where you're going to go to access the book. It's going to look a little bit different than what you have, especially if you're not enrolled in the Booksaver Plus program. You'll have a couple extra steps, but once you get fully enrolled and registered through Canvas or through your own IDs, this is how you're going to access the Pearson textbook via the online setting. If you have just a regular textbook, you just have a physical textbook. Nice and easy. We'll click through both of these links. It'll send you to a new page. You'll have to, I guess since I'm on a test student, I don't have a license. So you'll go through here. If you're not in the BookSaver Plus program, you'll have to verify your enrollment and you'll go through a couple steps. If you need help with that personally, office hours, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 12 to 1 o'clock, so right before the labs, or right after the labs, sorry. Those, we can go through that specifically. However, I'm going to go out of student view so that you guys can see what the textbook should actually look like. So, again, it'll be a little bit different than what you see because I'm an instructor. You'll just see the student links. So you'll see all of this, and you won't see the more or less because you won't have as many links. You can just go to opening My Lab and Mastering, or you can play around with these links. I recommend that you explore these links. You can get a little bit quicker to the textbook, but here's the big yellow button that's going to show up for everyone. If we click the big yellow button, it's going to take us to Pearson's website. If we've registered properly, we won't have any more login screens, and we'll get sent to something like this. Again, you won't see the bottom part because this is just me as an instructor, but you'll be able to see these things without any of these eye icons. We'll go to the Pearson eText, or you can click on, one of the other prompts up here, but the eText will get you there quickest. We can go open on Pearson Plus. There's also some pictures in the files that kind of walk you through this if you'd rather do it with pictures. Now we're on Pearson Plus. If you decide to subscribe to Pearson Plus, which is some amount of dollars per the semester, I would favorite this page, but if you're not going to do that, which gets you access to a whole bunch of these videos, there's a lot of stuff it gives you access to. I'm not sure if it's worth the price, but I would favorite this window if you're going to do that. Otherwise, we'll just go to Open eTextbook, and then you'll want to favorite this site. So if you're not going to do the online homeworks, which I'll post on Canvas later, you'll want to go to the chapter, whatever chapter you want to go to. Chapter 1's a pretty small chapter. There's only 25 questions. But we'll go to the exercises. These are the questions. Now, Chapter 1 doesn't look like very much. So that's about it. But if we go to something like Chapter 2, where there's a whole bunch of questions, we can go to Chapter 2. It'll instantly reroute us to the header. Then we can go to exercises, and we see that there's a bunch of problems. I think well over 100. So yeah, all these problems. So 140 questions. 38. So 30 questions out of 140 isn't too bad. As we get more and more, they tend to be more like this. Most of them have around 80 to 120 questions. Chapter 2 is a very quick and mathematics-based chapter, so 2 plus 2 is 4. Can't really explain much more than that. So that will be it for this kind of welcome and intro video, how to navigate stuff. We'll go over more stuff in person when we do our first lab this week, but otherwise I will talk to you guys in the next lecture where we're covering Chapter 1.